welcome to my live, guys. Good. All right, I'm just leaving therapy. It's about to storm and rain, so I'm going to find my spot and settle down, let the storm pass over. I'm going to get to my spot. So, thank God, just finished doing my therapy for my face. God is good. Welcome back to my live. And I want to do another part on, in order to disciple a nation, it doesn't mean that everybody gets saved, okay? There is a particular portion of scripture that I kind of sometimes call one of my favorite, because it really gives us an aim what the goal of the church is. And the goal of the church is that whatever century we find ourselves in, our goal is to disciple the nations. Simply put is, I believe that we're supposed to focus on a 40-year plan that we're supposed to set in motion as we fulfill purpose, that we can pass on to our generation, so that if we do it enough, it will become normal. It will become a way of life. Culture means way of life. Climate means that which surrounds you. If I were to put this in McDuffie dictionary terms, it would be the culture is the way of life, and climate is that which surrounds you. They use the term climate for nature, for weather. Sometimes they use to see what type of weather has been going on for a rhythm of 40 years, and then they can determine the climate of that area. I really believe that you can actually change the culture by doing something constantly and consistently till it becomes like breathing. And I believe that if the church was to operate in kingdom over a 40-year period with a certain climate and culture, it would take on life within itself, so that whatever is around that culture, the climate will begin to align itself, and anyone who comes in contact with that climate is impacted by it. And that's when we really get into what I call community development. So climate and culture is supposed to lead you to community development. I remember when my good friend was here in Patterson 2013, Dr. Claude Anderson, and he said most of us live in neighborhoods. We don't live in communities. He says when you live in a community, it is something that draws that people together so they can work on a common goal and a common purpose. When the neighborhood works on one thing to get it done, that's what attracts and affects the community. You know, I lived in some places, and I was just living in a neighborhood, and then I grew up on 23rd Street, which was a community. Now today, it's not really a community. We live on the block, but not like we was growing up. 23rd Street was a community. We played ball together. We played in my mother's and father's backyard basketball. We played football. We looked over each other. You know, it was really something else on 23rd Street. It was a beautiful time having what I call a thriving community. And I had figured something out after watching the church over the last 40 years. We have not really been discipling, all right? We've just been doing church services. And I'm going to say this over and over until it gets to be normal, that people start figuring out that we've been missing it in terms of discipleship training. Big ups to Bob Hepburn. Man, boy, I owe that guy an apology. Back in the day, he used to say, you think it's just as easy to be a Christian? He says the church knows nothing about discipleship training. He said that to me in 1980, 81, because I was a young whippersnapper preacher, and he was a European guy, you know. He wasn't real charismatic. He didn't believe in all the gifts of the Spirit. He used to pick me up and try to talk me out of a lot of my belief factors. There were some things he was right on, some things I was wrong on, some things I was right on, some things he was wrong on. But God bless you, Brother Donald, man. I'm coming, man. You see my face, I'm coming. I haven't forgot you, man. I've been praying for you and everything, man. Just stick with me, bro. I'm coming. And I tell you, Donald, I miss community, man. I miss real community where the neighbors work together to get things done. And that is the missing factor. And I really believe that is what's wrong with a lot of our local churches. And I can only speak from personal experiences. I can't speak for everybody because I haven't been to everybody's church. But what I've been around over 40-something years is that we have not developed community programs. And, say so. And I tell you, because we have not done a good job in climate and culture, there is no community. Now, I gave you a word today. I was coming to work, and my wife had to pick me up because my car was not functioning. And I told you that my wife and I went to the jazz concert in Montclair on Bloomfield Ave on Saturday after the storm. And I walked into Montclair's community. I walked into their culture and climate. I was impacted by their level of professionalism, their clean streets. Nobody was wild and acting crazy. I felt a sense of protection, and it felt safe in Montclair. And as they watched the jazz shows, people put their chairs out. They sat in the street. They sat on the lawn. And it was almost like culturally accepted that you're not wilding out here. And if you try to act wild, we're going to have you arrested and thrown out. And I was like, and I felt so safe on Bloomfield Ave in Montclair during the Jazz Fest. God bless you, those tuning in, Shay. And so, but then I've been in other cities, and I'm not going to say it, and I'm like looking over my shoulder. I was like, wait a minute, let me not go over there. Oh my God, boy, they're wilding out there. Oh my, the culture and climate is so off. And it kind of make it like, well, I would never bring my mother over here. Oh no, that's how it is. God bless you, RM. God bless you, Shay. Our goal for some of our churches and some of our educational systems are so low. They're so lowball that we start lowering the standard. We bring it all the way down. And then we do something, it be so lowball, it's like, really, we're celebrating that? It's almost like, congratulations, this kid came to school 2 days, let's give him a certificate. Now, he's supposed to be to school 280 days, so we're going to give him a certificate for coming to school for 2 days, because we're trying to do this reward method, to reward folks, reward them. I mean, oh, wow. God, congratulations, man. You got a D+. Whoa, a whole D+. Woo! It's like we missed the ball so much that time someone do something that seems to be positive, we are already giving them everything. And so they tend to settle for that. And then we start doing stuff like this. At least I come to church. At least I come to Bible study once a month. And at least I'm trying to live a good life. It amazes me that something could be so lowball and so low that we start congratulating ourselves instead of saying the system is broken and we need to find another methodology to try to reboot the culture so the culture can set the climate. And then the climate can once again get neighborhoods to become thriving communities. Now, if I were to tell you, let me tell you how far off we are. Now, my mouth is feeling so good. Thank you. If you guys need any type of medical work, I'm telling you, reach out to me. Dr. Alex, Dr. Steve, Dr. Mark, my therapist. Boy, they doing a job on my face. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Look at Brother Donald saying it right. We minimize the minimum these days. Oh my God. Look. I think you meant to say we maximize the minimum. So just getting by is just enough. And then you set that culture. And that becomes the climate. Yo, man, I passed that test, man. I got a D+. I said, yo, man, you know that's not good, right? Oh, it's good enough for me. Why? That's what my dad did. That's what my uncle did. You know, we set this tone like we're not supposed to go for the bigger and the better and more effective. You know, and then we kind of figure out, you know why I really have real honor and respect for Sister Shay. And those, I'm talking about the Shay that's watching. Because I watch her set the climate and the culture for her son. She is not going to settle. She's going to push him to be the greatest that he can be. She's not going to just settle, you know. And I said, Lord God, where is that in the church? Where is that? Our goal is attend church on Sunday morning, come to Bible study, come to the altar, pay your tithes and offerings, hold on, hope you get to heaven. And then Monday through Saturday is hell in our communities, man. It's like hell. Kids dropping out of school, people shooting and robbing, weed on every corner, you know, just coke and smoke out of our heads. And you got a nerve to say, yeah, that's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. I be saying to myself, not all communities. Not all communities. Oh, no. Oh, no. I found out that there are people discipling their neighborhoods. And watch this. They're not even using Jesus. They're discipling with positive culture, peer culture. They are coming together as a neighboring community that says, we're not going to have dirty streets. Oh, you're not going to sell those drugs. No, you're not. We're going to put you out. You know, there's some neighborhoods, and I know y'all call it racist and discriminatory, but there's some block associations that when a house opens up to be sold in their neighborhood, they get together and buy it because they don't want anybody new coming into the area that they don't know. You know who do this a lot? The Jewish community. They sell it amongst themselves because they're trying to control their community. Now, when I teach this, right, what would it tell many of you that this is evangelism one-on-one? You would say, no, it's not evangelism. Yes, it is. Because what I just said is what the Jews were doing in the book of Acts. Let me say something, right? Let me get this out, right? This is Might Live, and I'm doing this teaching now on you don't have to get everybody saved to disciple the nations. The term disciple the nations means set the culture and set the atmosphere so that the climate takes on a life within itself, which means whoever walks into the climate and culture readjusts their lifestyle according to the climate and culture. Let me tell you something, man. There are places that you can actually, watch this, and I know this is rough, you can go and just do anything in a neighborhood and nobody's going to say nothing. And then you can drive 4 or 5 miles towards the north of New Jersey and cross over to certain areas. And if you try to do that, boy, they have you arrested so fast, make your head spin. Then they do stuff like this. It's like 9 o'clock at night. Why y'all here in this neighborhood? We don't even know you. Why you up here? I've been there, man. I've been there. Listen, I drive Uber and Lyft. And I've been pulled over by some people that says, who are you? Why are you up here? I says, my name is Reverend McDuffie. I am a chaplain. I show my police badge. You know what they say? Have a good day, sir. See, straight up like that, right? See, I'm telling you. Our thing is, man, we don't know how to set the climate and culture. And this is why you can have church every Sunday and never change the culture of your day. You can go to Bible study after Bible study after Bible study and never change the culture to reflect the climate. Man, growing up back in my day, and Shay, I'm a little older, and Donald, you probably with me a little bit on this, there were times whereas it was unheard of for kids to talk back to their parents. It was unheard of. It wasn't even a temptation. It was like, whatever daddy said goes. Whatever mommy said goes. It wasn't just back and forth. And if you talk like to your father or mother, if I was next to you, I would beat you up. How dare you talk to your mother and father? Now it's culturally accepted for kids to talk back to their parents. It's the most disrespectful thing in the world. I'm saying, whoa. And this kid only like 12 and 13. I said, whoa. well, and we take responsibility too. We know that falls on our plate too. But here is the point I'm making, man. What happens to the culture and climate? What's going on? Because we don't think it needs to be discipled. Let me tell you this, Brother Donald. I'm so glad you're hanging with me, man. Let me tell you something, Shay. Let me tell you those watching here on Mike Live. We have not really studied Matthew chapter 28. Because if we really study Matthew 28, you will not be satisfied with just church services on Sunday morning. Let me say this. Let me say this, and I know it's going to bother some of you. Let me say this, and please get me. Please don't get upset with me. I'm trying to show you something here that I believe is a big problem with our church world. Because we say things, and I know we don't know what we be saying. We'll say stuff like this. Oh, that's just the way it is. You know, that's the way it will be until Christ finally returns. Man, I can't wait till the rapture. Boy, oh boy, that's the way it's going to be. You know, white folks be white folks, black folks be black folks. You know, that's just the way it's going to be. A child, they better get in the house of the Lord because Jesus about to crack the skies. And all those statements I just made are statements out of ignorance. See, it's culturally accepted because you don't know Matthew 28. All right, listen to this. And I know Apostle John will go with me on this, man. I was scared to death through Don. Listen, Donald, my Father in heaven, I'm still scared to death of my Father. My Father in heaven, I'm still scared of the man. Shucks. Oh, my God. Oh, Jesus. Here's the crazy thing, right? Matthew 28, and please get me. I'm about to get out this storm, right? I'm headed out the storm. I'm headed out the storm. In Matthew 28, I want to just really give this to you, right? And I want you to hear me, everybody. The Bible is written directly to Jewish people of the first century. Now, you gotta understand that, Shay, Brother Donald, and those watching, and Apostle John, go with me. The Bible is written to Jews of the first century. Everything after that, as time goes, it begins to affect us indirectly. So although the Bible is for us, it's not written directly to us. All right? I'll teach you how to exegete the text. So when you study the Bible and you read Bible stories, these are the questions you have to ask yourself. Who is the speaker? Who is the speaker talking to? Is he talking to one person? Is he talking to 2 people? Is he talking 3 people? Watch this. Who are the people he talking to? You know, who are the people he talking to? All right. What set of Jews? Is it the Jews in Jerusalem or the Jews from Samaria? See? All right. What were the Jews doing when he's talking to them? You know? See? You gotta ask yourself a question. Watch this. What was on the mind of the Jewish person when the person was talking to them? I'm teaching you how to do Bible study, Shay. I'm trying to show you how to do Bible study. When you read the Bible story, who is God directly talking to? Who is standing around while God is talking to them? When Jesus performing a miracle, who's looking on to the miracle being performed, being carried out? Now, you know why I'm asking all this? I'm showing you all this? Because this is how you disciple the nation. Because Jesus was not just concerned with the person he's performing the miracle. He is dealing with the crowd that's watching. He's dealing with the mindset and the cultural development amongst his disciples. He is doing things in front of the disciples because what he's really doing, every miracle, every sign and wonder has to deal with training and equipping the 12 or the 70 that he's going to be sending out after he, watch this, leaves the planet Earth. See, we don't know much about cultural and climate. What we know about is church service. And the sad thing is, the type of church service we're doing now, it's not even effective due to the level of depthness of sin that's in our nation. because we don't even have the right machine, man. The kingdom message is not being taught. Church service is being taught. Plain Bible study. Learn biblical stories. We're supposed to be invading the culture of the day so the culture can set the climate. And if the culture and climate is set, watch this, it will transform people who walk through the culture and climate and turn them into disciples of Christ. We don't understand this principle. So when I'm teaching it and telling folks, they call me radical, Pastor Mike is off, he don't hear from God. You know why? Because they're so busy eating one type of food, we think that's the only food to eat. Oh, Pastor Mike, boy, that meat was good. Boy, that's the best meat in the world. Boy, that meat is so good. That meat is so good, minister. Boy, I love that meat. I said, what kind of meat you eat? Chicken meat, chicken meat, chicken meat. He said, and that's the only meat in the world. And I come along and says, yo, man, that's not the only meat. I said, have you ever tasted goat meat? Who eats goat? Who eats goat? Who eats goat meat? Oh my God, no one eats goat meat. My mama never ate goat meat. My daddy never ate goat meat. Who eats goat meat? Oh my God, who eats goat? Oh, goat is nasty. Goat is this, goat is right. And while you complaining and fussing, right, I slide a bowl full of meat in front of you that one of my best cooks presented, right? And you started eating, oh, this is some good chicken meat here, boy. This is some good chicken meat. I said, that's not chicken meat, that's goat. He's like, you're kidding me. Watch this. You're kidding me. You're kidding me. That's goat meat. He said, I thought that was like upgraded chicken. You still got to call it chicken. Everything tastes like chicken. I said, no, that's actually goat meat, also sprinkled with lamb meat. So the goat and lamb is cooked together and got special sauce made by the cook. And if you eat this will give you a lot of protein and iron for your body. Help you fight off a lot of blood diseases. You didn't know that, right? You thought all meat was just chicken, right? Knowing the mindset is like that, because the culture and climate you grew up in, all y'all ate was chicken. See, you actually become your atmosphere. You become what's around you. Now, hold that point then. I want y'all to get this right. I want you to hear me closely, right? When you study the book of Acts, and please get me because I want y'all to get this. When you study the book of Acts, when Jesus is speaking to the 500 people on the Mountain of Olives before he take off, can I ask you a question? What was on the mind of the 500 Jewish people before he took off? Because we have to examine that. Because if we're going to talk about culture and climate, I have to ask myself this question. What was on the minds of those 500 witnesses on the Mountain of Olives that Jesus is speaking to before he takes off? Now watch. I want to work this for a few minutes. And this is my live. This is posting to show 2. And you don't have to save everybody to disciple the nations. And this I have to help some of you out here. All right. This is very important to get this right. Let me set the tone and let me set the culture and the climate of what's going on. Because if you read Acts 1, you keep thinking that Jesus is talking to Americans in 21st century. This is who Jesus is talking to, Brother Donald and Michelle, God bless you, and Apostle Joan. And this is very important. He's talking to Jewish people from the first century who've been hanging around Jesus for 3.5 years, and he saw him crucified and beaten. All right, let me try one more time, because this makes a big deal, all right? In Acts chapter 1, who is Jesus talking to directly? He's talking to 500 people who was at the foot of the cross, and they knew Jesus was dead. Now he's talking to a crowd that sees him alive. And Jesus did not reveal himself to everybody. He only showed himself to certain people after he came out the grave. Now you got to get this. It's very good because it sets the culture and the climate. All right. How would you like to have been at the foot of the cross and you saw the blood come out of his side. You saw them beat Jesus. You saw them whip Jesus 39 times. You know, you saw Jesus spit on, you know, just brutally abused, man, and fell with the cross. And man, he had to hang on the cross all day long, and he just practically choked himself to death. And then, you know, on that Sunday, you know, he got up, and a little bit after 40-something, close to on the 40th day, right, word got out to these 500 that Jesus was alive. And so I said, get out of here. Yes, he's really alive. And everybody secretly met him, the 500, on the Mountain of Olives. Now, let me ask you a question. What would you have been thinking? Now, just see, this sets the scriptures totally apart. What would you have been thinking that this guy from Galilee, the man from Nazareth, and you was there, you knew they did them. They stuck a spear in his right side, and out came all the blood and water. This guy was deader than Blackula. This guy was deader than dead. You know, this guy was dead. Just dead, man, dead. And then you see him talking on the Mountain of Olives. Watch this. How you know it was him? Because he had a hole in his right hand, which came from his wrist to his right hand. And he had a hole in his left hand that came from his wrist to his left hand. And he got a hole in his side. Now, there's no blood in him because all the blood was poured out on the Holy of Holies. So what's keeping Jesus alive? The glory of God. See? You won't need blood. God the Father is keeping him alive by the Holy Spirit. And Jesus begins to give him what I call his departing instructions. Now, let me tell you something. When you see such culture and climate that's shocking, it changes everything. Because, you know, if you let me tell you something. If you are let's say you are from Patterson, and I got to put it in the Patterson edition. That's why I live at Patterson, right? And I'm on the Mount Olive looking at you, and I was with my good friend Raheem, and I'm Michael, and we was at the cross. We saw all this, and then you see this man alive. That's like seeing, that's like Dr. Lisa Brown. That's like you in shock. You're like this. You're like, and Jesus is talking like it's normal. Like, okay, look, now I got out the grave. I told you I was going to do this. Now I'm going to give you power to make disciples of all nations. And of course, you know, some of them said, well, at this time, are you going to give the power back to the Jews? Can we rule and reign like we used to? Can we overthrow Rome? Can we do a coup? You know? And Jesus says, that system is not in my time. That's not part of my program. But what I am going to give you is power to be dynamite witnesses so you can change, watch this, the culture and climate of the day. And as you change the culture and climate of the day, you're going to turn, watch this, sinner Jews into saved Jews. You're going to transform Jews of that day who only believe in Moses. They're going to start believing in Jesus. But you got to set the climate and set the culture. And that daggone climate and culture was set because when you see someone get up from the dead, what other proof do you need? So these 500 people, man, they're not your normal 500 people because they saw Jesus alive and talking. I think sometimes, man, we don't really read the Bible and study it the way it should be read because really, they in shock, man. Acts 1 is a book of shock because what they're saying, I'm saying to Raheem, yo, man, I was right there. This guy's supposed to be dead. That's like seeing one of your relatives get up and talk. And I'd like to say my father talked to me. Jamie's younger brother talked to him. Jamie's uncle talking. Like you walk in the room of all these funerals that I did, and I walk in the room, they all hold a conversation. So that's how shocking it is. So that messes with your mind. So already I'm saying to myself, what was the culture like on top of the Mount of Olives? What was the climate like? I know they like, oh my God. That's the man they brutally beat down. Is he talking? Is he? See, what Jesus did, he actually transformed the climate and the culture. See? He actually dominated the atmosphere. I bet they listened to every word he said. Some of them got so excited, I don't even think they waited for the upper room. They took off and started telling folks that Jesus was alive. And that was the 380. The 120 went to the upper room and waited for further instructions and further development. So when you see the day of Pentecost break out in Acts chapter 2, there's a new climate and culture. See, just think of it like that. Now, when you speak to the Jews of the first century, you're not only speaking to poor people. You're speaking to rich Jews, middle-class Jews, poor Jews, all types of Jews were under the heavens. Because God always wanted to use the Jewish people to be symbolic of the 144,000, the 12 tribes of Israel that will go out and evangelize the world. So I need you to take this, watch this climate and culture and take it every place you go and establish it every place you preach the gospel of the kingdom. See, now when you teach it like that, that has a whole nother ball game to it. See, when you teach it like that, it has a whole nother ring to it. Because now I realize that salvation has more than just church service on Sunday. Salvation means I change the atmosphere, I change the world around me, which means I can set a culture and a climate so well that it becomes contagious. Oh, Donald, I'm kind of liking you, man. Triple D. I'm gonna call you Triple D. Donald Devon Dolson. You Triple D, man. This is crazy, man. Which means I want it to become contagious. Oh God, I'm gonna use that junk. Good morning. I'm gonna use that thing contagious. Ooh. Donnie gave me my sermon. I'm gonna teach that thing. Lord, I'm gonna take a screenshot of that. Lord, I got another man on this line, Apostle Joan, another black man coming on with me. I'm asking God to give me men, and God has sent me Donald Divine Dosa, Triple D. Glory be to God. Thank you, Jesus. Here's the crazy thing, right? I want to set the culture and the climate so well that it becomes contagious. So whoever comes around it and comes within my zone, they are touched by just walking up on me, which means I don't have to say anything. The culture and the climate sets the tone. When my wife and I, oh my God, that's it, y'all getting it. When my wife and I went to Montclair, and we, of course, came up on the Jazz Fest on Bloomfield Ave, I knew that wasn't the time to holler and be disrespectful, because everybody was zoned in to the jazz show, and people of all ages had their cheers out, sitting in the middle of Bloomfield Street watching the jazz show, right? And they was playing smooth jazz. Nobody was talking. It became contagious. So it made me say, shh, 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 be quiet, baby. They're playing jazz. Shh, 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 be quiet. You know, and it was such a safe atmosphere. It was such a safe zone. I felt safe. And what happened was Montclair leadership set the tone for the jazz show. Are y'all with me? Now, this is very important to get this, because I realized something, man, and please give me as I say this. We have not learned how to do this in our church circles. You know where our culture and climate stops at? The four-wall church building. Some of us are only saved on Sunday. We don't set the culture and climate at our job, amongst our friends, in the car, because we play the same music they play. We tell the same dirty jokes they tell. We lose our temper like they lose their temper. We do the same thing they do. And because we don't set the culture and the climate, then the folk around you say, why should I follow your Jesus when you're doing the same thing I'm doing? That's basically, why would I want your Jesus? I mean, I talk like I'm miserable, and you talk like you're miserable. And my thing is, why would I want your Jesus? Imagine it, you know, it's funny. You know, I remember one time I was in a room full of people, and they was passing out layoff notices, right? And, you know, I work with some saved people and some sinners, and everybody got laid off notices, right? Everybody got laid off, right? And the Christians was crying louder than the sinners. The Christians. Ah! Ah, you laid me off. Ah! Ah! I said, yo, man, pipe down. Oh, my God, what is wrong with you? I got to pay these bills. I got to pay my mortgage. I got to pay my rent. And there was this guy sitting next to me, atheist, you know, non-believer, you know, atheist, non-believer, you know. And the crazy thing is, he just said, well, I just got to find another job. And God walked out, got his car pulled off. It was the church folks belly aching the most. And then tomorrow, you're going to come around and try to minister to the sinner. And the sinner is going to say, you sound terrible yesterday. He said, I don't even believe in God, but I won't want your God because the climate and the culture that you set is so negative. Why would I want your God? I mean, you sound worse than me. see, we don't understand that. There is a silencing witnessing. There's a silent witness that we do every day. It's based on our conversation, what we say to people. People watch, people study, people look at your actions, and they see whether or not you live what you say. They watch you, man. I'm telling you, people take a lot of mental notes, man. They may not say that. And you could be hanging out with people, and when you start bad-mouthing people and talking, people take mental notes. And then when you finally switch and go back to them, be like, I'm listening to her, I ain't listening to him. Because I was with him and her, she sounded negative. He sounded like he didn't know what he was talking about. Man, I got cancer. I'm not going in for prayer because when they had cancer, they complained. I'm going to find somebody that believes for healing. I'm going to go find somebody else. And they don't even tell you. They just don't go look for you. Because they're studying your climate. They're studying your culture. Let me tell you something, Triple D. Let me tell you something, Dr. Brown. Let me tell you something, Michelle. Let me tell you something, Apostle Joan. I believe that the way of church is changing. I really believe that how we've been doing church over the last 40 years, I'm going to say it, maybe the last 60 years, God is forcing a change. Because it looks like just doing sermons on Sunday morning is not enough. We're going to have to go back, watch this, to a Sunday school model. I know my mother will love this. Whereas you teach and then you got to leave space for Q&A. And then get people up the role play and train them how to carry out what they're reading. I think sometimes we ought to give people books on Sunday, tell them to read, and on Sunday morning come up and tell them what you're learning, and then let the pastor talk about the book. I just believe that we have to change the scope of ministry, because if the climate is so negative and so nasty, so backwards, maybe what we're doing is not working. We don't want to hear that, though. We don't want to hear that. Oh, no, it got to be this way. It's got to be 11 o'clock. It got to be 9 o'clock Sunday school. Why? If it ain't working, why? If it's not working, why? If it's not working, why keep doing the same dumb stuff? Change it. Reform it. I see why I don't get invited to a lot of churches. Ooh, Jesus. Ain't worried about things, dear mama. Let me tell you this. I got a little time because there's real traffic outside. Let me tell you something, Apostle. Let me tell you something, Michelle. Let me tell you something, Triple D. Let me tell you something, Dr. Brown. The person that gets a hold of what I'm teaching, you are dangerous to the devil, because the devil has mastered in a series of ignorance and not really knowing what our role is as a church. We're supposed to set the tone. We're supposed to set the atmosphere. We're supposed to change the culture and the climate based on our repetitive and consistent lifestyles. You know, it's almost like someone walks up to me and curse in front of me and say, "Yo, don't curse in front of Pastor Mike like that. Don't curse." You know why? Because when I'm around them, I don't be cursing like that. You know, cursing not part of my nature. So I set a tone when I'm around them, either my job or, you know what I'm saying? Or someone might say this to me, right? Someone said this to me and said, Pastor Mike, I didn't even know that you laughed like this. I thought you was always this deep preacher. I said, you know why? Because you've never been around my culture and climate long enough. You only see me on Sunday mornings when I'm preaching. But Monday through Saturday, you're going to find out I'm a cool guy. I'm a cool cat. I have fun. I like to laugh and joke. I'm a jokester. I'm a comedian. Ask Dr. Brown. I'm a comedian. I'm a straight up comedian. Matter of fact, I should have been on stage. Robert, Myers, and me should have been on stage. I'm a comic. I am a comedian. But the problem is you're only around my atmosphere only once a week on a Sunday, so you don't really know me. But there's some of you, and please get me, people know you because they're around you all the time. And the climate and the culture, or the culture and the climate you set, you got a reputation. And the reputation is you don't believe what you say. You say one thing, do something totally different, and nobody listens to you. That's why your witness stinks. That's why when they get to other folk, they say, she faking, she ain't real. He ain't real. I'm telling you, man, you'll get this. I'm telling you, man, you'll get this. And I'm not saying what everybody say is right and wrong, but I'm telling you, man, we got to be very careful of the atmosphere and the climate and the culture we set around other people. And you can't control what everybody say and do, but you can be well aware of things that you say and do around others can set the climate and set the culture. Now, here's the point I want to make, and I want you to get this right. Here's the point I want to make, and this is the point I want to make clear and make it so clear you'll understand this, right? I'm going back to the Bible. In Acts chapter 1, when Jesus tells his disciples, or the 500 on the Mountain of Olives, to go to the upper room and wait for the promise to come, 120 went with a spirit of expectation. And they knew that this was the Messiah. But this was almost like a well-kept, hushed secret ready to go public. You know? It's almost like a company about to go public with its stocks. Like Zuckerberg did with with Facebook. He went public, went on stock market, bought the stocks out. It was like, it's private now, but once it hit, yes, all the time. Once it hit, it's going to change the world. Now, this is the this is the part I want to make real clear, and I want y'all to get this. Here's the part, and I want you to get this right. Here's the part, and I want you to get this. Please get me, right? Get me on this. If the devil knows that the power is in who sets the culture and the climate, then his job is to keep you from setting the culture and the climate. Let me say it again. Watch this. If the devil knows, which he does, whoever controls the culture and the climate controls the community. Let me say it another way. If the devil knows that whoever or whatever group sets the culture and the climate will determine the type of community you have. Oh boy. So if I'm the Satan, I'm coming up with strategic ways to keep you from discipling the culture and the climate of your century. We live in the 21st century, and our century is approximately 100 years. So if I'm a devil, I need to keep you ignorant for 100 years. Because when the culture and the climate is not kingdom centered, then anyone else is running it. Anyone else is setting the tone. I was in Brooklyn, New York a few months ago. I went to a basketball game, and I had to buy a battery charger for my phone. Watch this, right? And I went into Radio Shack, one of the few Radio Shacks left. And I went to buy a battery charger. And I walked up to the cash register, and I swear to goodness, I didn't know whether or not I was talking to a male or female. And somebody told me that they're neither male or female, they are asexual. I forgot the word they use, so I can help me. They're in between sexes. Right? Now, I said to myself, who came up with that one? How did that come to pass? You know why? Because the church did not take authority over the culture and climate of the day. We just looked the other way, and whenever you look the other way, stuff grows in the garden called weeds. So while we was trying to ignore the issue and play it off, we didn't deal with it in our choirs, with our musicians. We just let it just go because they played real well and they sang real well. So what we was actually doing, we was feeding the culture of the day. We were feeding the climate. So now the community just says, this is just the way it is. And it wouldn't be bad if it wasn't just one, but I ran into 3 of them and I couldn't tell whether it was a male or female. And they were all black African Americans. Scary, man, scary. And the Lord says the ministries of this area have not discipled the culture and climate. And because of a lack of kingdom culture development and kingdom climate development, then no one is impacted by the gospel of the kingdom. So they just stay in their sins. They stay in their sins. All right? See? A lot of times, man, we are very hard on sinners when we should be hard on church leadership, because we keep doing sermons and hollering and screaming and jumping and entertaining people. And I don't mind being entertained, but give me something. Give me some kingdom. Give me some principles. Give me some stuff that's going to transform and change. We got too many people, and we know it's wrong. We know it's satanic. We know it's demonic, but then we just accept it culturally. We just accept it, and that's not what we're going to do. We're not doing that no more. If you missed Pastor Marcus' word on Sunday, go back and watch it. I think Pastor Marcus did an awesome job of ministering and preaching. I think he talked about using your authority, man. And I tell you, man, you're not going to transform the climate and the culture of your day, or the culture and climate of the day, unless you use your authority. You're going to have to become very passive aggressive to say, this is my family, and I'm going to get them delivered. Watch this. This is my bloodline, and we're going to be the first family that become billionaires. See, that's how you got to talk. This is my neighborhood, and we're not going to have dirty streets. We're not going to have folks breaking into people's houses. I'm going to get together a neighborhood watch program. We're going to work on something. See, when you start making a decision to use your authority, man, it changes everything. God bless you, Auntie. It changes everything. It changes everything. There's a clip on my page. Reverend Marcus saw it. Many of you saw it. Some of you didn't see it. And this European guy took a black frying pan and whacked an alligator in the head and chased the alligator away. Let me try it again. 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 Yes. 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 Yes, everyone. And I realized that this guy took a black frying pan and slapped the alligator in the face, and the alligator ran off. Now, when I looked at this clip, right, this is what I said to myself. This may not have been this man's first time doing that. Or he got used to being around alligators and said, I'm not afraid of y'all. Come on, bring it. Or it could have been one of his pet alligators and he just know how to handle them. I mean, the clip is not clear. But what I do notice, James Jackson, is that who takes a frying pan and slaps an alligator in the face? Watch this. The person that controls the culture and the climate. See, man. I believe that the culture and climate in the community of our day one time was neutral, waiting for someone to control it and manipulate it. But being that our church services don't teach controlling the climate of the community, we just let things just be. Oh, that's just the way it is. That's just the way they are. No, it's not. No, it's not. Change it. Scripture says in Romans, by the transforming and the renewing of your mind. Not removing of your mind, the renewing of your mind. Some church folks think the removing of your mind. Transform the thinking. But how do you do that unless someone sets the atmosphere, sets the change of mind, change the culture? You know, I was talking to Delon, right? His father and him had one of the most successful charter schools in the city of Patterson, black-owned. And the Featherston Nation, let me say it again, the Featherston Nation set a culture and climate for proper education in charter schools, black-owned. And I used to pastor one of the young ladies that came through his school. You know what she told me? She says, Reverend McDuffie, when I was attending the Featherston Nation, we was not allowed to talk loud in the cafeteria. If we were to talk, we supposed to talk respectfully and lower our voices. So it would not be strange to walk into the cafeteria with Featherston Nation and the kids are talking so low, you're wondering, what's going on in here? Why is it so quiet? See, quiet became abnormal to people because we think when we get around each other, everybody got to be loud. But in the Featherston Nation, watch this, in the Featherston School, Delon, Mr. Featherston George, he set the tone. We're not screaming in here. We're going to do this thing right. And you can walk in and hear, my father just like sheep peeing on cotton, something like that. My father just say that. And I said to myself, Melissa, who did this? How did this happen? Because the leadership of the Harrison Nation, the George Featherston Nation, that was Delon and his dad, and that Featherston School set the tone, set the atmosphere. And you know, when the devil see you doing something like that, he got to come after you. He don't like you doing something like that, because really, there's a system that don't want folks delivered. They don't want folks delivered. I keep telling you, man, folks like blind slaves. Misery makes money. So my question, how did you get everybody to be quiet in the cafeteria? And know what Featherston said? Train them up from first, second, third grade. Let them know it's a privilege to come to my school. And if you can't come to my school, you can't stay in my school. Which means they got other programs for you, but not in this building. So he made it a privilege to be a part of the nation. See that? See that? See that? Now, I realized something, right? This is very important. Reverend Marcus, you do this well, too. For your tricky trades, for your level of professionalism, you set the tone, you set the climate. So whoever joins into your machine must submit to the atmosphere that you set. But if the atmosphere is not set, people will come in and bring their own culture and climate. So because the church has abdicated her role as setting the theocracy, the world takes on her own theocracy. One more time, we break the 3 C's down. Here's the 3 C's. Culture means the way of life. What folks receive as normal behavior. That's culture. What is climate? That thing that is around you. Sometimes weather is called the weather climate. That thing that is immediately around you. And the climate. What's community? Community is when the neighborhood comes together that have similar goals and aims, and they work together to accomplish something. They work together. They work unified. That's the word community. Real ministry is to affect the culture, to change the climate, so we can raise up community. Dr. Claude Anderson told me in 2013, he says the role of the church is to get back to community. We got too many neighborhoods. Boy, he said, boy, Dr. Claude Anderson, Sister Shay, you got to look it up. You got to look up Dr. Claude Anderson. Just go look at him. Look up Anderson, man. Any book he has, go buy it. He's strong for black American leadership, black history. He don't like to use the term Africans. That's terrible. You can say black African American. He said, because if you're white living in Africa and you move to America, you're an African. He said, you need to see black or black African Americans. Those three letters, culture, climate, and community, is what we're going after. You know, you can actually set the culture and climate community at your job. You can actually set the whole thing. Look at that. Look at remark that you're talking right. And the calf at my school is on lock. I indeed set the tone, and it's going wonderful, and everybody's following suit. That is how you do it. If the church is not taught how to do that, we are terrible in evangelism. We're terrible, man. We can't just evangelize on Sunday mornings in our church service. That's not enough, man. We got to, watch this, disciple the nations on the ball field. We got to disciple the nations at the movie theater. We have to disciple the nations, watch this, in our political parties. We have to disciple the nations depending on ratables in our city, building housing. You know, disciple. Wherever Jesus Christ and the kingdom of God goes is where discipleship is. Oh boy. Oh boy. Boy. I tell you, man, there is a, and I'm almost done. Well, Pastor Wayne, how many people did it take to do this? Well, I went to Acts chapter 8. Philip brought such a transformative gospel that when he preached it and delivered it and preached about this very Christ, the Bible says he brought so much joy to the city that the city was transformed and changed. Are you reading the same thing I read it? Transformed and changed because Philip, listen to me, Philip brought a type of kingdom gospel that's different than 21st century Christianity in America. He performed miracles that the folks with palsies were delivered. And the city got so shook up, watch this, y'all, that even a witch got delivered. Now, you know what it doesn't say? He said, oh, you witch spirit, come out. You demon of witchcraft, come out. He don't do no casting out of demons. All he did was set the culture and the climate in Samaria. And the Bible says that the whole city had great joy. When the last time you yourself, DJ, when the last time you yourself, Apostle Joan, set the tone, set the climate, set the atmosphere so it's so contagious that whoever walks into your zone, man, they enter into a new world. Man, and please don't take this personal. I think the church has to go back to the blackboard. I think she has to really figure out, is she impacting the culture and the climate? If the culture and the climate is not impacted, then we cannot do the Great Commission in Matthew chapter 28. There is a famous black tennis player, I forgot her name, DJ, you can help me, a black sister. And she can play tennis. She can play. But guess what? She's not ashamed of her faith. She gets on her knees and she prays to Jesus before her match and after her match. She's bold on her faith. Now it amazes me, everybody come out the closet and what they want to do, but then when the Christians do it, we're called extremists, we're called terrorists. She is bold, she loves Jesus, but here is where her power comes at. She can play tennis. I'm tired of folk who don't have no game, they sorry, they can't box, they can't shoot, they can't play, but they always talk about they love the Lord. My thing is, you know, you need to practice when to get your game up. Because some of you don't have no witness because you say you love the Lord, but your game ain't tight. Maybe because your work ethics are not good. Maybe you take too much time praying. How about practicing? I never forget my good friend Vince Fusco. I call names out on purpose. Vincent Fusco, who was a record producer for gospel choirs. Watch this, everybody. I forgot her name, right? But I'm gonna let you know who it was. I'm gonna repost it. Coco Gareth. Thank you, James Jackson. Coco Gareth. She's a strong black sister, love the Lord, and she can play tennis. Right? She can play. There's always a sorry player that say they Christians. I like to find someone who can play ball like Stephen Curry. Believer and can play. Why can he play so well? Because his work ethics are high. He set the tone. Watch this. He sets the culture. He sets the climate for hard work. He ain't praying in tongues all day. And if he's praying in tongues, he's shooting and practicing at the same time. Vince Fusco said to me, and I forget this was 1989. It was during the Joe Clark thing. He was working with Joe Clark. And he was telling me that he had to tell a church choir to stop praying all the time and go practice singing. He said if you would practice singing more than speaking in tongues all day, you could sell some albums. He said, you guys sound rotten and you sound terrible. I said, wait, why could you say that? We love Jesus. We love Jesus. We pray in the tongues all day. He said, well, you need to start praying in tongues and start singing in English. He said, because something wrong. He said, you guys sound terrible. That's what he said. He said, you sound terrible. You know what he was doing? He was teaching them, right? He was teaching them, watch this. He was teaching them that you're putting emphasis on the wrong thing. You are putting emphasis on the wrong thing. Too much emphasis. Because you're focusing on praying all day, talking to God all day, and your choir never takes time out to work on her skill. See, that was the tricky part. You know what Vince Fusco say? They have a culture and a climate of laziness. Coco Gareth said, I'm going to be the best tennis player at my age, black sister. And I'm going to stand up and I'm going to tell folks I love Jesus. I'm not ashamed of it. And I'm not making any apologies. You know what she's doing? When she makes that bold stance, she is establishing her atmosphere, her culture, her climate, and it will become contagious if she sticks with it. See, I'm the devil. I got to talk you out of your bold stance. Church, the Satan don't like bold believers. See, I get persecuted a lot because the devil knows I'm very bold on my faith. I won't shove it down your throat, but I would put it in your face if you come up on me. I will tell you I'm in love with Jesus, and I will not deny him. You want to go to hell, you go right ahead. I'm not going with you. See, I'll say stuff like that. See, I'll say that. And some of you can't handle that. You know, some of you can't handle that because that's big. The power is based on who is setting the tone. Can I say it again? The power is based on who is setting the tone, who is setting the atmosphere. If Philip can go into one city and change it, I got to ask myself this question. What did Philip do to change the atmosphere, to set the tone, to change the climate? He used kingdom. He used miracles. He stuck with the Christ. He was one of those that witnessed Christ died, came out the grave, which means he's even willing to die for the Lord. He also ran and got away from Apostle Paul, who was still Saul of Tarsus. So he knew how to even escape and get away from the enemy. See, I'm giving you stuff that's really going to really set the tone. I'm almost done. We're done at 6:27. That's going to set the tone. for what I mean by disciple the nations. If I want to disciple my city or my neighborhood, first of all, I'm going to have to walk my neighborhood to see who lives there. I'm going to have to meet my neighbors. Why do politicians do this and run for office, and the church world don't do it to win souls? How can my good friend, the mayor, Sayer, wear out pairs of shoes knocking on every door when he ran for mayor and won because he knocked on like 10,000 doors, personally, himself? And church folk won't even knock on one door to get somebody saved. They just don't come to the church building. Maybe God said they're not coming. Go get them. Show some initiative. Show some ingenuity. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. You don't put no effort into it, man. But I already tell you to play basketball or play football or score a touchdown or shoot free throws, or we be into it. When they come to Jesus, we got some half behind effort. I said it. Half behind effort. It doesn't really do the job. Listen, I'm on almost an hour due to the rain and the storm, and I'm going to close it off here. I want y'all to go, and I want you to take what I'm telling you, and let's continue to learn about disciple of the nations. I'll come back later to give you some more. Go to the Cash App and sow your seed. Come on, everybody start sowing. Everybody, go. If you love the word, you love the word of God, go and sow your seed. All right, $ Pastor Michael 7. PayPal address, supermike777gmail.com. McDuffie, love you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.